Welcome to the Antioch Church YouTube channel. This is my message for Sunday, August 25th. This is the conclusion of my series through July and August 2024, the fruit of the Spirit as found in Galatians chapter 5. Love, joy, peace, patience, along with self-control, because they go together. Kindness, gentleness, that was the last video. So the last remaining fruit of the Spirit to talk about are faithfulness and goodness, because those two kind of go together. The Message Bible version of Galatians chapter 5 defines faithfulness as a willingness to stick with things. Do you have a willingness to stick with things when the going gets tough? Stick with things in your job, in your relationships, your friendships. It's very important. We often think of faithfulness in terms of wives and husbands, but faithfulness applies to all areas of life, including your relationship with God. Jesus said in Luke 16, verse 10, that the one who is faithful in a very little is also faithful in much, and one who is dishonest in a very little is also dishonest in much. So, are you able to stick with things, keep being faithful, stay consistent and committed when things get rough? It's very important as people of faith. God is the ultimate example of faithfulness. Psalm 36, verse 5, your steadfast love, O Lord, extends to the heavens, your faithfulness to the clouds. The Apostle John described Jesus in Revelation 19, verse 11, when he said, then I saw heaven opened, and behold, a white horse. The one sitting on it is called Faithful and True, and in righteousness he judges and makes war. Jesus is called Faithful and True. Do people call you faithful and true? Do your friends? Does your spouse? Would your coworkers, your boss, would your coworkers and boss call you faithful and true? Would your boss say about you, yeah, I can rely upon her, or he's an excellent worker, he's on time, he's committed, he's punctual, reliable? That's what God is looking for, and that's what people are looking for. Take a look at Joshua chapter 6, verses 1 through 20. At this point in the history of Israel, God is getting ready to give the promised land Canaan to the Israelites. It says, now the gates of Jericho were securely barred because of the Israelites. No one went out and no one came in. Then the Lord said to Joshua, see, I have delivered Jericho into your hands, along with its kings and its fighting men. March around the city once with all the armed men. Do this for 6 days. Have 7 priests carry trumpets of ram's horns in front of the ark. On the 7th day, march around the city 7 times, with the priests blowing the trumpets. When you hear them sound a long blast on the trumpets, have the whole army give a loud shout. Then the wall of the city will collapse, and the army will go up, everyone straight in. Those were God's instructions to Joshua, who was in charge after Moses died. So then Joshua gave those exact instructions to the Israelites. Verse 12, Joshua got up early the next morning, and the priests took up the ark of the Lord. The 7 priests carrying the 7 trumpets went forward, marching before the ark of the Lord and blowing the trumpets. The armed men went ahead of them, and the rear guard followed the ark of the Lord, while the trumpets kept sounding. Imagine a procession of people marching around with instruments, loud and together walking in a large circle. So on the 2nd day, they marched around the city once and returned to the camp. They did this for 6 days. On the seventh day, they got up at daybreak and they marched around the city 7 times in the same manner, except that on that day, they circled the city 7 times. The 7th time around, when the priests sounded the trumpet blast, Joshua commanded the army, "Shout, for the Lord has given you the city." When the trumpets sounded, the army shouted, and at the sound of the trumpet, when the men gave a loud shout, the wall collapsed. So everyone charged straight in, and they took the city that God had promised them. Victory at last, right? But it took 7 days of marching around the walls of Jericho. Now, think about that. I can imagine during those 6 days, 7 days of marching around the walls, I bet some of those Israelite people probably said, "Why are we doing this? What is the point of marching around these walls over and over again? My gosh, why? I don't get it. If God is almighty, can't he just make the walls collapse on his own?" Good question. It doesn't say exactly why God wanted Joshua and the Israelites to conquer Canaan this way. But I suspect that it's because when people are just given things freely, when things come easy for people, they begin to want everything to come easy. And if God would have snapped his fingers and made the walls collapse instantly, I think that the Israelites would have wanted God to provide for them and do for them just like that over and over again. God, give me food. God, bring me a home. God, do this. God, do that. I mean, he's not a genie or a superhero. Sometimes it's best to do things through a process. God is as interested in building our character and their character as he is in blessing us, the people of God. So that's why I think God wanted the Israelites to acquire Canaan by this marching around over and over again. But I just think that when the Israelites marched around those walls over and over again, I'll bet they thought it was tedious. It was tiresome. Oh, here we go again. Why are we doing this? This is monotonous. Wouldn't you agree? Oftentimes, being faithful means doing things over and over again, like going to work every morning, going to church every Sunday, going for a walk on a certain time each day, going to the gym at a certain time each day to work out. But sometimes those routines, like marching around Jericho, sometimes those routines become tedious, monotonous, even boring. Let's be honest. No matter how much you might love your job, you always love a day off, or Labor Day weekend, or any holiday off. As much as you may love your church family, sometimes even going to church can seem tedious and tiresome and boring. I get that. And I'm sure the Israelites felt that way when they had to march around this massive wall of Jericho over and over again for 7 days. And then on the 7th day, on that one day, they had to march around that wall 7 times. I imagine them either saying or thinking, "Oh, here we go again. Come on." Sometimes your life can seem tedious, monotonous, even boring. Anything that you do faithfully, consistently, over and over again can feel tedious. I get that. Tiresome. I'm right there with you. But here's the thing. If you and I will just keep on going, even when it feels routine, if you and I will stay faithful and not give up, even when you're tired and worn out and want to quit. If you and I will stay committed and keep on going, even when it feels tiresome, monotonous, the breakthrough, the miracle, the next blessing is coming, guaranteed. You might be promoted in your company, and you'll love being able to say, my spouse and I have been married 10 years, 20 years, 25 years, 50 years, because you didn't give up on each other. James 1:12 in the Passion Translation reads, if your faith remains strong, even while surrounded by life's difficulties, you will continue to experience the untold blessings of God. True happiness comes as you pass the test with faith and receive the victorious crown of life promised to every lover of God. I like that. Lover of God. If you're a lover of God, stay committed, stay consistent. I know you get tired, but don't give up. Years ago, the members of this church faithfully attended worship, gave their tithes and offerings, served on committees, and made apple pies, and sold those apple pies as a fundraiser to pay bills and keep the lights on. They were faithful in the lean years of this church. And over the years, the result, God blessed this church with new people, new sources of income, new blessings that enabled us to pay our bills and get our new building paid for a few years back. When we reopened after the pandemic, we had maybe 25 people in here. But our people did not give up. They kept on coming, kept giving their tithe and offering. They were faithful, and God has blessed us with new people. We have grown, and we have new ministries and new blessings. God blesses faithfulness. Say it with me. God blesses faithfulness. I'm not saying stay in a toxic relationship. I'm not saying stay in an abusive marriage. Don't. I'm not saying stay somewhere where you are neglected and put down and mistreated. I'm saying when things are good, but you're tired, worn out, and things feel tedious, monotonous, same old, don't give up. Don't give up. Stay consistent. Employers, managers, business owners, they're looking for people like you who are reliable, dependable, don't give up, on time, punctual. 2 Corinthians 5, verse 15 in the Passion Translation. So those who live should no longer live self-absorbed lives, which describes a lot of people in our society. No longer live self-absorbed lives. All about me. How does it affect me? I don't feel like it. I don't want to. And get whiny. No, but we should live lives that are poured out for Him. Jesus, the one who died for us and now lives again. When Jesus carried His cross, He didn't say, oh, this is so hard, I don't want to. Can I carry a lighter cross? Can I carry a tree instead? Come on, cut down that bamboo tree. I want to carry a bamboo tree and not a 100-pound cross. No whining, no complaining. He did it for all of us. Proverbs 3, verses 3 and 4. Never let loving devotion or faithfulness leave you. Never. Bind them around your neck. Write them on the tablet of your heart, so you will find favor and good success in the sight of God and man. I want divine favor. Anybody else? How about you? I want good success in the sight of God and man. How about you? Good success. God wants you to be successful in every area of your life. That's God's will. Now, my question to you is, are you going to go for it? If things just come easy for you, you tend, like all of us, to take them for granted. You have to put in the work of going after what you want. Jesus never said, just pray. He said, ask and seek and knock. Are you willing to do all three? Now, on this channel, in my videos for July and August 2024, you have heard me preach on all of the fruit of the Spirit: love, joy, peace, patience, kindness, goodness, faithfulness, gentleness, and self-control. My question to you is, do you have these things in your life?